as a general overview of what betrayal can and will and may do to someone. This is a general overview. There's people that once they discover, the chapstick in the car door, the lip gloss in the glove compartment, the phone numbers under the mattress. I mean, your knees give out. You vomit. You are on your bed screaming. You can't make sense of it. So I'm just going to give you kind of the spectrum from, what you may or may not go through, because a lot of times, so often our dialogue is, I must be going crazy. And I just want to share some things with you to let you know you're not going crazy. My God, you're not. I mean, listen, I've said this before, and please don't do this. But there's people that get in their car and want to run their spouse over. I mean, your mind is hijacked and you're in survival mode and you're furious. This applies to, some people. Other people have been betrayed by a family member 30 years ago that are watching this, and that wouldn't necessarily apply. But these are, again, just a broad spectrum of some of the things that happen when we are betrayed. So, but I am going to focus primarily on the romantic aspect of betrayal. So you've been betrayed, let's just say in your marriage, whether it's from a hidden sex addiction to porn to infidelity, you're feeling devastated from the pain. Do you now find yourself struggling to cope with the daily tasks that once felt easy? Or has your physical health gone downhill? Again, this is later on, because even initially it goes downhill because you don't want to drink, you don't want to eat. Correction. Some people, all they want to do is eat their stress and worries away. Is your spouse still relapsing and acting out? Or is your spouse not understanding the absolute devastation that was caused by their behavior? You might be watching this and thinking, how in the world do I even breathe? How do I cope? How do I live? Let me just first say this. So the APA, which is the American Psychological Association, defines trauma as an emotional response to a terrible or traumatic event. Many of us often think that a traumatic event must be something that's relegated only to extreme isolation and life-changing experiences such as war or sexual abuse or, extreme, physical, something physical. But anybody will tell you, once you experience betrayal in a relationship, you know very well that there's much more to trauma. Now, I want to say this. That's what the APA defines it as. I define it as life-threatening powerlessness, because one of the things that we feel when we are faced with that discovery is complete powerlessness. You don't have power in what was real in your past. You have no idea what's going on in your future because your body's all effed up, mind, body, soul, you name it. And you don't know what's going on in your future because you don't know what the future holds. Are you going to kill this person? Are you going to love and forgive this person? Are you going to work this marriage out? Are they leaving you? Like your existence, past, present, and future is scrambled. All right. So what is betrayal trauma? Partner betrayal trauma, in short, is a specific form of trauma. It obviously occurs within a relationship to a primary attachment. So again, this could be a child, a mother, a boss, whatever, but I'm speaking specifically in a partner sense. So trust has to be broken. Your life as you knew it was utterly destroyed, and you feel completely out of control and powerless. Which is why I say one of the best ways to start getting that power back is to give ourselves what was stolen, which was the freedom of choice. But I'm not going to get into that right now. Just talking about the effects. And listen to me, watch me, look at me all being Italian and stuff with my hands. The impact on the betrayed spouse varies because each betrayal situation is different. I was looking up this guy named Dr. Doug Weiss. And he talks about 6 major areas that are affected by betrayal. Now, you could get some professionals that just, talk about 4 or 5, and you can get other ones that talk about, the 13 areas of our life that are affected, but he covers about 6, and those are the 6 I wanted to kind of share with you today. The list includes emotional, spiritual, social, physical, sexual, and financial. So some of the things you might be experiencing, and again, this is on a spectrum. So you could be experiencing this, 5 years out, but you're primarily going to be experiencing these probably, the first 3 months. Everything I'm going for, absolutely, you're going to experience the first 3 months, and certainly probably up to a long time. When I say a long time, 2, 3 years, maybe even up to more, depending on many factors: your determination, your willingness, your motivation, your resiliency, your childhood. I mean, there's no such thing as one size fits all healing. And that's why healing sucks. Because it's like, you see one person who after 4 months, okay, I'm good, we're good, we got this, moving on. And another person after 4 years, they're like, I'm good, I'm breathing, I'm living, but I this affected me in different areas. That's because, people that bring childhood abuse into it, people that don't have the resiliency as the next person, partners have stuff to do with it, even though I hate saying that, because healing has to be individual regardless of what your partner does. But it does play a role. If your partner is going to stay in your life and they're blasé, your healing is going to be 10 times longer than if your partner was in their life, but they get it, they grovel, they do the work, they, do what's needed. So, so many circumstances depend. But anyways, so the first area is emotionally. So relationships are bound deeply in emotion. So we share love and memories, hopes, dreams, commitment, struggles, etc. All our emotions are tied to them. When our partner disregards them through betrayal, we're left feeling abandoned. And again, this is what I was saying before. If you have abandonment issues from childhood, it's just not spousal abandonment. This goes to a core insecurity. It's like, holy cow, my own mother abandoned me. And now the person that I vowed my life to abandon me, am I even worth the spit on the top of a pond of bacteria? I mean, it just really affects your core insecurities. Again, depending on so many things. Somebody might not have any abandonment issues whatsoever, and just the abandonment part of the betrayal still sucks and hurts, but not to the core, doesn't do the devastation it does with somebody who comes in with psychological wounds, previous psychological wounds. So in essence, people might choose to abandon your heart and, put in all that dialogue in your head. And actually I was about to read, but it says right here, is if you've had childhood abandonment or neglect or emotional damage from childhood, infidelity adds, my gosh, I can't stress this enough, adds a tremendous amount of complexity onto your healing. I'm not, well, let me just stick to my script or else I'll waste your time, but healing can be complex. I don't have to tell you that. Spirituality. Our beliefs make up who we are and our moral values. Regardless of our spiritual backgrounds, our spirits are a very real part of us that influence our relationships. Often the spirit inside you is the first thing that senses something is off. Some people actually interchange spirit with intuition. That's a personal decision. Spiritual betrayal is deeper than physical pain because it's tied to the core of who we are. Now, a lot of times a spiritual betrayal can happen, obviously, with like a pastor or something like that. But if you relied on your partner as the spiritual head of your home and they did this, this wreaks havoc on your spiritual life and relationship. Not to mention, many people question their spirituality and their religion after betrayal, as they question, where was God while all this was happening? And that's pretty deep because, we hear so much about faith and trusting in God and this, and then we think, well, God, I prayed to you. I prayed for a spouse. I prayed for, obviously you don't often pray for a faithful spouse because you think God's going to give you a spouse. And that's one of the characteristics. They're going to be faithful, duh. A good provider, kind, generous, blah, blah. You don't, you can name all these things, but even if you don't, it's implied. So, so once you say, well, I had faith, God, that you We're going to bring somebody in my life that was going to treat me kind and respect me and be faithful. And now this happened. Where were you when they were doing A, B, and C? And now you have a hard time trusting yourself. You have a hard time trusting the person you're with if you're going to rebuild. And you're having a hard time trusting in God. It wreaks havoc on so many areas of your relationship. I can give you tips and things like that on how to, quelch that belief system, but I'm not going to waste time right now. These are just the effects of what D-Day does or discovery. Socially, so when we function with our spouse as a social unit, we go out together as a couple. You take vacations, you enjoy the same activities, and now you wonder how other people think of you two. You may distance yourself from protection and avoid certain things because it reminds you of what happened. The betrayal has broken your social unit and environment. Keep in mind, there's tons of stigmas around betrayal. We all know this, if you leave, that has consequences. If you leave, it has consequences. Now, sometimes you have to leave. Sometimes you're left. But then if you stay, there's stigmas. What are you, stupid? Are you weak? You can't control it. You can't take care of yourself. You can't live without this person. You can't do better. I mean, there's stigmas. It's also a secret society. Trauma on its own is horrific. Don't get me wrong. If you lose a loved one, you can call into work and say, geez, I just lost my father. I just lost my mother. I just lost my brother, my sister. I just lost somebody significant. And you not only get bereavement time, 3-4 days off, a week off, you get the I'm sorries. Maybe you get flowers delivered to your home. Maybe you get a dinner train. If you're not familiar with what that is, just look it up, whatever. You can't call your boss and say, listen, I need broken trust time. I mean, that just doesn't exist. You don't want to tell your boss that because it's embarrassing. There's guilt and shame around it. If you do take time off, it's often personal or vacation times. And those are times you need to heal. So betrayal is its own secret society. You get up and you put on your face and you put on your fake smile and you go out into society and you're always wondering, who knows? And do you think anybody suspects? I mean, betrayal wreaks havoc in every area of your body, which leads me to whatever this next one is, physically. All of our experiences affect our physical bodies. When we go through trauma, our body goes through it too. Lord knows our body goes through trauma. Which is why, like Elizabeth and, who else does yoga, and the waters and the nutrients and the supplements and the sleep and the meditation. My God, it's so basic 101, but it's profound. It's so important. It's vital. How each person responds is different. Regardless of the end result damages our self-image. We do. I mean, I don't want to digress, but it's like, how many times do we compare ourselves? Oh, she had bigger boobs, or he had a bigger chest, strapping guy, or, we do all this nonsense, but, comparing is a waste of time and worthless and hurtful. People often gain a tremendous amount of weight after betrayal or lose a tremendous amount of weight. I mean, I said it earlier in the class. I mean, some people are forget this and they just start eating. And plus, junk food is comfort food. It's understandable. Other people are they're so desperate to win their spouse back. They think, oh my gosh, if I have an 18-inch waist, which, who does, a 13-year-old girl, I'll win him back or her back or whatever. And so they don't eat. All these are obviously, they affect your body. Long-term could be pretty damaging. The profound stress after D-Day ages you. Did you ever notice actually a huge age progression with presidents? It's like, I remember, I'll give a perfect example, President Clinton, and I'm not getting political, I'm just saying he was a president. He went into the office, decent looking young guy, and he came out and he almost looked like the crypt keeper. That stress ages you. And obviously the president's job is pretty stressful. Same thing with trauma, betrayal trauma. I mean, if you don't get a handle on it, it could age you. Oh, stop. Crap. I just ended my thing. Sorry. Geez, I just shut my computer off. Hopefully this is still going. It can age you, which is why some people before betrayal, they, look one way, and then they'll look at themselves in the mirror 8 months after the betrayal. They're like, my God, I turned into my grandmother. I look like my mother. I look like, whatever. The good news is, the very good news is that can be reversed. Start taking care of yourself and, drinking the waters and getting the proper nutrition and the sleep. And you can actually reverse the age process. That's a good thing about that. I always stress the importance of hydration after betrayal. Not only are you trying to hydrate your body from the gallons of tears that you cried, but also your organs are working double time trying to keep you as healthy as possible. So your body really needs that hydration more now than ever. Sexually, sorry, sex is the most intimate act between two people. And I'll tell you something. Emotional affairs affect different people on different levels. Sexual affairs affect different people on different levels. And even if it's not an affair, maybe it was just hiring a prostitute, or maybe it was an addiction, or, what have you. One of the reasons I say it affects different people on different levels, a lot of it, or some of it does come down to a love language. If your love language is quality time, not only are you now dealing with the affair, but you're dealing with all of the time that was stolen from you, your love language given to somebody else. I mean, that F's somebody up. Sorry to be vulgar. Physical touch. If you're a physical touch person and being touched feels love to you, and touching your partner is showing them love, and they're going and giving their body to somebody else, that wreaks havoc all over stuff. Because they robbed you of your love language, and not only that, they gave it to somebody else. Anyways, when this sacred area is violated, it could have the deepest and most traumatic impact. Responses vary. You can become numb. You try to, quote, fix it. You can become hypersexual. This is common. This is very common. After an affair, so many times couples come back together and they're like bunny rabbits, or they're like they first were when they first met. And a lot of the times that's because, first of all, it's the guilt and shame reacting of the person who betrayed. And also I want it for the person that was betrayed. I'm desperately going to hold on to you and keep you. So let's bond. And that's, sometimes results in a lot of sex. You can feel empty during a sex act with your partner. You're certainly going to be triggered. I can't even stress that enough. You are so going to be triggered sexually with your partner for a while. And I'll tell you something, I'm going to digress. I apologize, but I just want to say, people that are not comfortable talking about sex and sexuality to begin with, this is an additional challenge, because really during intercourse or sex after betrayal, both people have to be so ridiculously vulnerable and honest. And if you come from a childhood where sex wasn't something you talked about, or something that was shameful, it is very difficult to be open about the talk about sex, but it's absolutely crucial for healing after betrayal. So it just adds another difficult component onto the process. The result is your spouse has rejected your sexual beauty. This doesn't include horrendous and constant triggers if you're rebuilding. And even if you're not, if you jump into a relationship too quick after betrayal, you will still get triggers from your new person. Not to mention STDs that now you might have to deal with, from a sexual standpoint, or unwanted pregnancies. I mean, the list really goes on. People that have previous body image consciousness now struggle on a deeper level. That hard work and professional help, in addition to positive affirmations, are an absolute must. I mean, it's sad because 99.9% of the time, nobody cheats because of they have issues with the body of the person they're with. It has nothing to do with that. But that's the first thing we're going to think about. Oh my God, my body is ugly, or this or that. And so it gets very complex, and it's too bad because, like I said, 99.9% of the time has nothing to do with it. It's everything to do with the person. Everything to do with the person. Doesn't matter. Okay, I think I beat that horse to death. Financially, many couples merge their finances. So betrayal might come at a cost in the form of money, time, resources, commodities, money spent behind your back. Now you have to, money spent behind your back, whether it be on condoms or on rooms or on prostitutes, whatever that impact both your lives. This might also include losing a job. People lose their jobs from betrayal. I mean, people get caught having affairs in parking lots, then they get arrested, then they lose their job because they're, for whatever reason. That has big financial ramifications, This could delay retirement. I mean, which could further freak people out and piss them off. And I don't blame them, because it's like, holy cow, we worked together. We worked so hard together to retire at a certain age. And you did this, which just delayed our retirement. My God. The economic impact on you and your children's lives can, span for decades. And listen, this doesn't include the hundreds that you may spend on resources, like books, marriage retreats, coaches, therapists, and countless other resources. And trust me, people will absolutely happily go into debt to stop this pain. If you were to tell people, listen, there is a drug that will take away the pain of betrayal, there's nothing somebody will do not to come up with the money to take that pill. So we spend a lot of money healing, and it's infuriating. It's infuriating. It's like, now listen, I'm not here to judge whatsoever. Because obviously people have affairs, because of internal deficits, or people, hook up with prostitutes because maybe they have a sex addiction. I'm not here to judge. I'm just saying the other person that's now affected in that same boat with the person, it's infuriating, because you're like, my God, we spent like we're spending thousands of dollars now trying to heal from this. It's more things you stole from me, Now, those were the 6 components from Doug Weiss, but I want to add one more, my own. I can probably add 25,000, but I want to add one more, and that is time. This is going to hit especially for people that have a love language of quality time. It's not my thing, but I can understand somebody that has a thing. There was so much time robbed from your betrayal, robbed from you because of a betrayal. Time we spent going out of our way to connect to a spouse who wasn't 100% available because they were living a double life. Then after D-Day, time spent crying in the fetal position, time we had to take off from work, time that we had to heal, time we had to rob from others, such as our friends saying, let's get together for coffee, making up excuses because you'd rather be in a fetal position in bed. That's time robbed from us that we could have spent with friends. Or how about time that we could have spent with family members or our children? So many times after betrayal, you don't have the wherewithal to have the patience with your kids, to make your kids a meal, to celebrate your kids. Your time with your kids was robbed. Your quality investments, those special moments that you'll never get back. And I'm not trying to say this to hate on your spouse if you're rebuilding, because like I said, there's all kinds of 2 ways. I'm just trying to let people know watching this, you're not crazy. You're not crazy. Our time is valuable. And when much of it is robbed from us, especially from an act of betrayal, it can be one of the most infuriating components to deal with and heal from. So what does this all mean for you, this class? While the details of your betrayal are unique to you, the effects of partner betrayal are real, and you're not crazy. I just want to, emphasize that. Thankfully, there's resources and support that's available to you. Some of the first steps, such as watching this class, are to seek a trauma-informed professional who understands, a little bit about sex addiction and trauma. And all coaches and practitioners here at PBT are, for the most part, trauma-informed. Establish self-care routines that support you physically, emotionally, and spiritually, and stick to them. Set up healthy boundaries to create a safe place for you to begin to heal. Create a lifeline list of needs while you're triggered or feeling low. And if you don't know what a lifeline list is, go back about 10 classes. I gave a class on what a lifeline list is. Only share what you absolute must with friends and family. If possible, I wouldn't even share with friends and family initially. I'd share with a professional. Couple of weeks out, couple of months out, whatever, you can share. I mean, unless it's obvious because, you know, there's a divorce or a breakup or, you know, what have you. But friends and family have the best intentions, not the best responses. And the most important thing is know that you're not alone. Just know that you are not alone, and any thought you have, you are not crazy. So I hope this class helped you. I wish you the best of luck in your healing. And until my next class or we chat, God bless you.